Brother and Sister Seek Their Father, a Croatian folk tale collected by Mijat Stojanović in Zemun and published in Zagreb in 1867. There was a rich merchant. He had ships on the sea. He went to the sea and did not return for a long, long time. He had a wife, a son, and a daughter. The wife died of grief for her husband. The son grew into a fine young man, like a green pine. The daughter was a maiden like a young doe. The son sold what was surplus in the house and said to his sister, "If I had someone to leave you with, or if I could find you a match, I would give you away in marriage and go out into the world to search for our father." The sister said to her brother, "Then I shall go into the world with you and inquire after our father. Perhaps God will grant that we find him." "Then come," said the brother, "let us go." So they agreed. The brother rented out the house, and brother and sister each mounted a fine horse, took plenty of money, and set off into the world. They wandered for a long time this way and that, and spent much money. At last they came to a certain forest. In that forest they lost their way. They walked back and forth through the trees for so long that both their horses died. "What shall we do now?" brother and sister asked each other. The brother said, "You know what? I will climb that tall oak and look around the forest to see if there is anything by which we might find our way out of this thicket." The brother climbed the oak and looked in every direction. Far off in the forest he saw a house. The edge of the forest was visible on no side. He called to his sister and said, "Look, I will throw my cap from the oak in the direction where I see the house." And so he did, then climbed down, and brother and sister pushed through the forest undergrowth straight in the direction of the house. For a long time they struggled and clambered through the scrub, until at last barely they reached that house. They came before the house. The door was open. The brother went inside. In the kitchen he found an old woman. The old woman started at once and burst into tears and told him to flee wherever his eyes might lead him. This was a pustaya hideout, a bandit lair. Every day at noon, 12 bandits came up from beneath the earth into the house, ate their meal, and went off on their business. At midnight, another 12 came from below, ate their fill, and went about their affairs. And the old woman had to cook for them. "Do you want to see where the bandits come up from underground?" said the old woman. She led the traveler through the rooms into a great chamber full of weapons. The traveler looked over the weapons. A fine, reliable saber caught his eye. It hung on the wall. In the next room, cellar doors stood open on a landing. The traveler took the saber. To test it, he drew it from its scabbard and swung it left and right. The saber spun in his hand as if alive, whoosh, and struck the old woman on the neck, severing her head like a cabbage. Noon was approaching. From below the house came stamping and clamor. The bandits were coming. The traveler stood with the drawn saber in a corner above the entrance, by the open cellar doors. The saber twitched in his hand like a living eel. The moment the first bandit stepped through the door, the saber whooshed across the bandit's neck. The head fell from the shoulders, the trunk collapsed on the landing. So it went with the second and the third. All 12 lost their heads. The traveler and his sister remained in the house for the night. The meal had already been prepared. They ate and drank well. At midnight, the traveler met the other 12 bandits with the saber. He killed them all, cutting off every head. The saber was reliable, a postalica, tempered by fairies in serpent's venom. The traveler gathered an immense treasure there. He also found a reliable musket, a fine companion to the saber. One day, the traveler went hunting in the forest. He wandered long through the undergrowth. Suddenly, he looked into a bush. A great fox lay there, watching him. He raised his musket to aim at the fox, but the fox spoke. "Do not kill me. I will serve you faithfully." "If that is how it is," said the man, "then come along with me." The fox fell in with the hunter like a hunting dog and followed him. The man went a little further through the thick scrub, and there lay a bear in the undergrowth. He raised his musket to aim at the bear, but the bear spoke. "Do not kill me. I will serve you faithfully." "If that is how it is," said the man, "then come along with me." The bear fell in with the hunter like a hunting dog and followed its master. Now it was easy for the man to hunt deer, does, stags, hares, and wild boar, and he lived well with his sister. They fed on nothing but roast meat. But even this grew tiresome at last. They went on through the world, inquiring after their father and searching for him. They traveled a long way still through the forest. At last they managed to come out of the forest and reached a town, together with their wild beasts, the lion, the bear, and the fox. It was already late when they found lodging in the town at the house of a fat innkeeper. The traveler saw to his beasts and fed them well. When he and his sister entered the inn, he saw the innkeeper and everyone in the room downcast, joyless, somehow bowed down, many of them in tears. The traveler asked the innkeeper, "What is the matter, that you are all so sorrowful?" The innkeeper said, "Friend, everyone in our town has been dressed in mourning for some time, sorrowful and grieving. And how could it be otherwise when a great calamity has befallen our town? Our town lies beside a great lake. In the lake lives a dragon, God's punishment, to which the town must give every day 10 sheep, a head of cattle, and 1 maiden. If the tribute is not given, the dragon devours living people, whoever it catches on the shore. An order has been established in the town, from house to house. Whatever house has a maiden must give her to the dragon. Now the turn has come to the king's daughter. Tomorrow, the king must give his only child to the dragon. On the shore of the lake, a small chapel has been built. The maiden must go to that chapel. There the sheep and cattle are also tethered. The dragon comes and devours everything. That is why we are all sorrowful and grieving." The traveler said to the innkeeper, "Take me at once to your king. I will save the king's daughter and the whole town and the land from the dragon." The innkeeper led the traveler to the royal court. The servants announced to the king that a traveler had come, a fine young man as handsome as a maiden. He said he would slay the dragon and save the king's daughter and the whole town and land. The king could hardly wait to hear this and summoned the traveler before him. The traveler told him his intention to fight the dragon. The king believed and did not believe, but he said to the traveler, "If you, heroic son, slay the dragon, I will give you my daughter in marriage and make you a man of honor. You shall be king after me in my kingdom." The next day, the king's daughter dressed in black, and the whole town with her. A great throng accompanied the king's daughter to the lake, to the shore, to the chapel. The traveler was there too, with his saber Postalika, with his lion, his bear, and his fox. He stood on the shore of the lake before the chapel. The king's daughter remained beside him. The king, the king's servants, and the crowd fled back to the town. Then the king's daughter began to shed tears and pray to God. The traveler commanded his beasts to watch the lake for the moment the water would churn and the dragon appear. He comforted the king's daughter and told her not to weep, to trust in God. All might yet be well. He was speaking with the king's daughter when the lake heaved and the dragon rose from the water. The dragon had 12 heads. The lion roared, the bear growled, the fox barked, and the saber Postalika stirred at the traveler's side as if alive. He seized the saber by its hilt and drew it from the scabbard. As when lightning flashes, so fire flew crosswise from the saber when the traveler swung it at the dragon. The dragon leaped onto the shore. The traveler sprang close, swung the saber. One head fell. Swung again, another fell. The lion and the bear leaped to his aid and seized the dragon, each by one wing. The traveler swung the saber. The dragon's heads fell. Blood poured. The 12th head fell. The dragon was dead. The king's daughter was saved, and the town, and the whole land. From the town walls and towers, the king and his servants and the crowd watched what was happening at the chapel with the dragon. Everyone rejoiced. The king sent his servants with a splendid carriage to bring the traveler, now already his son-in-law, into the town. But the king had a duke, the foremost man after the king at the royal court. This duke had set his eyes upon the king's daughter. He wished to marry her so that he might become king in that kingdom. This duke, the first after the king, bribed the king's servant to kill the traveler at the chapel in the press of the crowd. The crowd had come from the town to marvel at the 12 severed, hideous heads. The king's servant was seduced by money and killed the traveler just as the traveler was cutting open the dragon to remove its liver and bile for medicine. He stabbed him with a cruel knife. The traveler fell dead beside the dragon. The servant took the lion, the bear, and the fox and brought them to the royal court. A day passed. The next day the king asked where the traveler was. "He has disappeared," said the duke, the first after the king. The duke asked for the king's daughter. The king said that since the traveler was gone, they might as well marry. At once the wedding guests were summoned. The king's daughter was to wed the duke. The lion, the bear, and the fox were hungry. No one came to feed them. They broke out of the enclosure where they had been locked up and followed the scent all the way to the place where their master lay dead beside the dead dragon. When the beasts found their slain master, each went in a different direction. The beasts searched for healing herbs with which to tend their master's wound. The lion brought one herb, the bear another, the fox a third. With these they dressed their master's wound. The traveler came back to life and went with his beast to the royal court. When he arrived, the wedding was in progress. The king's daughter was being married to the duke, the foremost man at the royal court. When the traveler entered the court, the king and the king's daughter saw him. The king rejoiced greatly, and the king's daughter even more. The king asked where he had been and why he had not come to court at once, since he had not been killed, as the servants had told him. The traveler said, "I was killed, my king, and were it not for my beasts, I would never again have trodden upon the grass." He brought charges before the king against the duke and the treacherous servant. The king decreed that both criminals should be torn apart by horses' tails, and so it was done. Then the traveler married the king's daughter, and he, his sister, and his beasts remained at the royal court. But before long the sister grew spiteful and turned against both her brother and her sister-in-law. She had poisoned the sister-in-law's heart against her brother on account of the brother's love for his wife, and she had poisoned her brother's heart, saying he had forgotten his father, that he neither inquired after him nor searched for him. The sister went to the place where her brother had slain the dragon. The dragon had rotted, and its venom had settled into the bones. The sister took some of the venomous bones, brought them home, and secretly placed them in her brother's bed. The brother lay down to sleep that evening. In the morning he awoke swollen like a barrel from the dragon's venom. They treated him with everything in the world. Nothing helped. When the lion, the bear, and the fox saw that their master did not come to them, as he had done every day to check whether they were fed and watered, the lion and the bear sent the fox to seek the master and see what was the matter. The fox crept in and saw how the master had swollen from venom like a barrel. The fox hurried back and told the lion and the bear. The lion and the bear sprang up at once and went to their master and asked him where was the fat and the bile that he had set aside when he cut open the dragon. The master told them. The fat and bile were brought at once. The fox held the little jars, one with fat, the other with bile. The lion and the bear rubbed their master's body.
The moment they anointed him, the swelling went down, the skin smoothed, and he was well. The beast told the brother about his spiteful sister. When they went to look, they found the dragon's bones in his bed. The brother was slowly recovering, and the beast took counsel among themselves and tore the spiteful sister apart. So may it be with every traitor. When the old king died, the son-in-law inherited the kingdom. He ruled well. His beasts were of great help to him. The lion helped with strength, the bear with skill, and the fox with cunning. If he is not alive, then he has died. If he does not beg, then he gives. Whoever does not believe it, let him go and ask.
That was the tale of Brother and Sister Seek Their Father. If you enjoyed it, the full collection, Mijat Stojanović's Folk Tales, is available in print. Subscribe for more Croatian and South Slavic tales, and I will see you at the next campfire.